Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the review. This time of the MAFEX Medicom Spider-Man comic book version. And we are all very excited. We all wanted this. We've all been waiting a while for it. So hopefully you'll be excited as I am as we go through this and we get to talk about the MAFEX Spider-Man. First and foremost, let's go with the look. I think the look is absolutely great. There are some things about it that people are going to debate, whether it's a McFarlane, whether it's a Campbell, whether it's a Bagley. I think it's up for you and your interpretation of whatever 90s version of this Spider-Man that you want. And the reason why that is because in the 90s, a lot of these artists actually drew very much alike. So it's very easy for you to say which one is which. Me personally, I'm going to go with Bagley, but that's fine. But yeah. So as we can see here, the sculpt is actually really well done. The web lining is actually sculpted in. The emblem is actually sculpted in as well. The eyes are very nice and large. It's very cool and very comic accurate. And it has a great look and a great feel to it. It has even a little bit of weight. These are the kind of things I really like. The blues are a lot of different shades, even under my light. Some are light, some are dark. And that could just be because it's given a wash. But it has a nice look of metallic blue, but also a light darkish blue. It's really hard to explain, but as you can see under light, kind of looks like a bunch of different blues. But I'm okay with that because, again, if you like the 90s style of Bagley, Larson, McFarlane, or Campbell, I think this is definitely going to be your look. Even here, they even like sculpted out the butt cheeks for you to make sure it filled out well in his spider suit. So it's definitely for those of you who love the Spidey's art, 90s art. My chest is a little bit brighter than the rest of where the arms are because, again, it looks like where a wash is. And I have one slight little damage here. I'm going to try to cover that up. I tried thinking it was just something on it, but it's actually a little bit of paint chip, but it's not that big of a deal. Now we're going to jump into articulation. So the head can actually move all the way around freely. It's on a neck joint and moves around freely as well. That allows them the ability to look up as well. Very, very well. And as you can see under, it's on a neck peg. So for those of you that's going to do some head swapping, now you have a look at the peg, so what's going on. Spidey also has a very nice and generous butterfly joint that actually can help him rotate in, as you can see here. Very, very nice. Rotates out as well. There is a bicep swivel, which is actually very tight, so be careful. If you like it to be a little loose, I recommend you heat it up. The arms are indeed double jointed, and it's on a natural imported peg that we actually are starting to get more and more even in domestic figures. So the peg can actually move around 360 degrees. As far as the ab crunch goes, it goes about this far. It goes about this far back, so you actually have a lot more crunch backwards than you do forwards. And you can rotate actually every which way. So you have a very nice, generous range for the upper torso. As far as the lower torso, you can actually get an extra bit of range, which allows for more crunch when you use the two together. And a lot more when you use it backwards. So if you want to do some backflips to avoid things with your spider sense, it's totally possible with this figure. Now the legs is where it gets a little tricky for me. And one of the things that I may or may not enjoy is the way the leg works on MAFEX figures. I'm always worried about them breaking. I'm hoping this will not be the case with one of them. But as you can see here with the leg articulation, he can go very, very far up. And it's double jointed as well. So he actually looks very nice and fluid while he does it. So even now, if you want to do some very nice laying down poses or jumping back or hiding from your opponents, these are all very good. As you can see here, I pose them very, very easily. So as far as spider poses, spider-like poses, one of the things I always worried about was the way the legs work with the ab crunch. So as you can see here, very good pose. This here as well. So you can get a lot of good poses. You just got to be worried about it because the leg can't fold into the plastic without you heating it. I don't know if you guys can actually see it right here. But right here is where you're going to push in and against. And you can get that extra little bit of articulation there. So please be careful. Don't try to do it too much because then you might warp your plastic. The leg joint actually rotates all the way around. Not a full 360, but 180. And it has a toe pivot as well. And it crunches well, it leans forward and backwards very, very far. So you actually have a great range of motion. But as you can see, if you try to go too far or pop something out too fast, you will pop the leg out. So please be careful. We're going to do a quick look at what you can do articulation-wise, and voila, yeah. I think my first impression is that I was very worried, but now I'm seeing that I can actually get a lot more range with the figure. So I'm very, very happy with it. I was just so worried. But the more I'm playing with it, the more I'm enjoying it and the more range I have, and I'm hoping I can take a bunch of dope photos. So real quick, let's leave him like this. Let's actually get you in a very nice, more cool pose. Voila. And we're going to talk about the things that he comes with. First thing I want to talk about is the magnetic hands and feet. I want to jump into that first. So while swapping it out, I know we've done this before with MAFEX. You actually have magnetic hands and feet, which are really, really dope. Because if you're going to touch a magnetic board, or if you have your deluxe board from Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I'm going to put here in the background. Just like that, voila. See? You easily get magnets. Same thing for the hands for wall crawling. They stick on very easy and very well. But I want to make sure I touched on that first and fast and let you know that those magnets are actually really, really strong. So next up, you also get another webbing head. Oh, sorry, webbing head. You get another head. This head has the eyes a little bit more focused. Let's fix that. This one has the eyes a little bit more focused, a little bit more closed to give you a slightly different look. I love this look. Again, more Bagley, more Campbell, more Larson, more McFarlane. This look is actually very nice on his head. I like it a lot. I love that the little nose pokes out as well too. Very, very cool. You'll obviously get thwipping hands because you can't be Spider-Man without thwipping and web swinging through the city. So this is important. You get web line hands for holding your weapon while swinging. So this is also important. You get closed fist to match your open fist. You know, you got to punch your bad guys. You get natural open palms or wall crawling hands. These ones do not include the magnets, so you have a more fluid, chill look for these ones. Next up, you have the Unmasked Head. Now, this one I have a slight problem with because mine's actually came with a little bit of damage on the neck. It's nothing too crazy, but I just can't get it to not sit in a way that it doesn't show. Lucky for me, I have an extra one. But this head sculpt is actually pretty okay. But it's not as cool as the Marvel Legends one, I'm going to admit. It's a nice sculpt. It really is. But it is kind of weird and roundish. You know what I mean? It's very square-jawed, I should say. Yeah, very square-jawed. So it's like he's almost being drawn by Ed McGuinness. But so it doesn't match this look at all. So if you had a more sleeker McFarlane or Campbell or Bagley look, yeah, sure. But this is way too round, way too Ed McGuinness-y. So not a fan of this one. Still a nice sculpt, but I'm just not a fan of it. You have an unmasked head where you can hold your mask in. So there's this. If you want to hold it, I believe you choose your... Ooh, I forgot which hand it is. It's not the hand web holding hands. I forgot which one it was. Ah, it's a regular old... these hands. So, but yeah, very nice. It's a very nice touch when you add the unmasked head. Tiny little eyes. Make sure it looks a little low. Then you also have your webbing accessories. So you have the web line that goes out. There's also a stance for when you attach it to. Should you want to attach it to the opposite side of your webbing, like this. You have two short web lines, as you'll see here. So they give you matching web lines, or twin web lines, I should say. Then you have two long ones. Voila. And then you have a web line for when you're holding it in the web line hand. So that way, when you want to web swing, you actually can get the line across for a forced perspective shot, which I'm probably going to do a shot of, so you'll see it. Now, we're going to get into the important thing for you guys, which is the size comparison. So let's actually move everything around. Let's slot all these guys out. And let's stand him straight up. Real quick, like I said, the more that I play with this Spider-Man, the more I like it. I was a little skeptical at first because a lot of the time MAFEX stuff is either really hit or miss for me personally, but that doesn't mean other people shouldn't enjoy it, you know. But I'm enjoying the fact that they are taking the time to listen out to what's going on with fans and how they're listening to some QC issues and aiming to fix it. So now we have Spider-Man, nice and standing up. We got a nice little pose. So let's compare him to, first off, some other Spider-Man. Let's do that, actually. So here he is next to his Marvel Legends counterpart. They look really nice together. Actually, the more you look at Peter Spider-Man, the more you're like, wow, this is probably one of the best Marvel Legends ever made. The Pizza Spider-Man is pretty much just a really great toy. Then we have the Mezco Spider-Man, which is a very nice touch on some modernized edition here. And as you can see, the MAFEX one is looking to be the smallest one so far. Still, they all look really good, but the MAFEX one is looking to be the smallest so far. And I don't have the blue version of the old Campbell McFarlane Spider-Man, but I do have the black version, so let's compare them. And I'm only going to compare the comic ones that I have, because I don't think it's fair to compare the movie ones. So as you can see here, MAFEX is now the smallest one. So I'm guessing they're trying to get close to Spider-Man's official height, which is somewhere around 5'9", 5'10". I'm not sure. But in terms of height, there's that. I like the way he looks with all of them. I like his eyes a lot better than I like the rest of them. And it just kind of fits the tone of the matte look, which I like on the Mezco Spider-Man as well as the MAFEX, while I have that shiny brand new suit with that of the Marvel Legends. Except for the black and red one. That's just a really old piece. For those of you that have Mary Jane, we're going to compare it with Mary Jane. Let's take off her bag. So I think it's a good height with the Mary Jane as well. Oop. Next up, we're going to compare it to a Marvel Legends Venom. For those of you that are curious about his size. And I think this actually works really well. Then we're going to add the Gargan Venom, because you never know what you're going to have going on. Let's flatten that foot. So size-wise, I think this Spider-Man actually sits pretty well with a lot of other Spider-Man related stuff. Next up, we're going to compare it to some other lines and a Kingpin, because I just recently got the Kingpin Build-A-Figure. So that's really good. Here he is next to an SH Fig Arts Kamen Rider Cougar. Oop, Kingpin fell and knocked down the cat too. That's a bummer. Here he is with a Articulated Icons Ninja, which Spider-Man and ninjas always go hand in hand, especially if you got a Daredevil. Which now, after playing with this Spider-Man, I would actually like a MAFEX Daredevil. That would actually be pretty dope right now, especially because you can get a lot of cool costumes out of that. Next up, a 1000 toy synthetic human. So I think the MAFEX Spider-Man is actually scaling really well with import stuff. Not too big, not too small. Then we're going to do, last but not least, a Mythic Legions elf. And I think the last thing I'm going to do is another MAFEX. I mean, sorry, not another MAFEX. No, another Mezco, which would probably be like a Punisher, but he's probably the same size as Spider-Man, so it doesn't really matter. All in all, I like the scaling of it. Looks really nice across the board. It looks clean. It is well done. I was skeptical at first. I have some issues with some of the articulation in the legs, but that's my minor gripe. All in all, if you are a big Spider-Man 90s fan, this is for you. If you want to stick with your Marvel Legends, I think that's okay too. Your preferences are yours, and that's totally fine. But this Spider-Man is an absolute must for those who are 90s fans. This is a great piece. In the meantime, guys, hope you enjoyed. Hope you found it informative. But most of all, I hope you do good, be good, drink your water, guys. Later. All right, guys, so real quick, one thing I forgot to cover was the Revoltech, so I'll pop them in here at the end of the video so you guys can see. Real quick, the Revoltech has all the great parts of the articulation that you want covered. It has a deeper cut, a deeper articulation. It even has a sculpted in webbing too. But I don't know if you guys can notice, but the spider design is actually different as well. The head is way more round, but you also have an eye feature here. So while there's some things you get here with the articulation, the cool metallic paint, and the sculpted in the sculpted in webbing, the problem is that it just doesn't have the look and feel of the 90s one. If you want a super articulate Spider-Man, sure, you get this one. If you want one that looks like your favorite 90s artist, this is cool. Because if you're looking for art, this is going to be great for you. If you're looking for something that can get crazy poses and part swap, this is what you want. So while I forgot that before, definitely going to add it in here. You can see it with the other Spider-Man. In the meantime, guys, enjoy. Be good, do good, drink your water. Later.